Yes. Would you like to come through, table? Nisha should be here. Nisha? Well. Okay, if you want to come in, she'll have to come in a second. That's okay. So if you'd all like to come in, welcome, that's the first thing. If you'd like to find yourselves a workspace and take a seat, there is a signing in sheet to the session if you'd all be kind enough to sign yourselves in. You will also notice there a form that asks about whether you would agree to be filmed today. This is part of my PG Cert course for the university for Anglia Ruskin, so I'd be happy if you would read it carefully, and if you agree, please sign it, and that will be filed with myself. I'll just close the door. Is everybody okay today?
Yes, thank you.
Welcome.
Hello, teacher.
Please take a seat. You will notice that there's a sign-in sheet going round, Nisha. I'd be grateful if you would sign yourself in when it comes to you.
Okay.
There is also a separate form coming round that explains about the circumstances of this being filmed for the purposes of my university course. I will not be keeping the footage for very long. As soon as I know it's downloaded to them, it will be removed from my device, just so as you're aware of that. No. Oh, I didn't realise they were different.
We can't look too.
You look at each other, what do you mean?
I thought it'd make it a bit more fun to be doing a few different ones. They are replicated, and I should be a pupil as well as the teacher today, because I don't have much knowledge of this either, so it'd be really good to have a go at it.
I'm 18 years old. Yes, I am. You're barely. No, you're laughing. Complaining about what?
God, it's hot.
And do we get marks at the end?
No, the marks will be self-explanatory because it depends if you manage to do it successfully. And I think the planes themselves will prove that, whether you've been successful.
All right.
So it's not a marked session, except in my own head. Thank you, everybody. Has everyone done it? No, just me. Okay. Well, let me start off by saying welcome and thank you very much for agreeing to be here to spend your time with me today, because I know your time is precious. And thank you also very much for agreeing to be filmed so that we've got that part out of the way. I'd like to start the session just with a few housekeeping things. So this is a safe environment for you to be taught in. So we know that the room is big enough, we've got our masks on, and we're socially distanced as much as we possibly can within the remits of what we've got. I know all of you know the building, but for those of people that are not aware, if you come outside of this room and go round to your left and keep going round to your left, you'll find the toilet areas and the wash hand basin. So if you need to go, just feel free to go, get up and go. Again, if you have any reason why you become uncomfortable, it gets too hot in here, please let me know and I'll see if I can sort that out for you. If not, feel free to take a step outside, because it's not always easy. It is a safe environment from the point of view of your learning as well, so whatever happens in this room stays in this room. Please don't discuss it too much with people outside. It's a very simple session today, but it might need to be or want to be replicated at another point in time, so it'd be good if other people aren't aware of what's happened. And of course for us it's a learning tool within ourselves as a group, so that we feel free and easy to learn. Are you all happy with that? Yeah?
Yeah.
You're okay. So today we're going to learn how to make paper planes, which sounds really easy, but I cannot emphasise that when I googled it, which I did, I was amazed at the amount of results that came up, and it was like, oh my goodness. So the first thing I had to do was source some templates that were free to use and that I couldn't be plagiarised for, obviously, because they have certain templates you have to pay for and you have to go through the set companies. So these are free templates, they're readily available on Google Drive, and the university have been made aware of that, and it's all in my references, so just so we know that that's done. So today we have set learning outcomes that I've constructed, and they are quite simple ones on the face of it. But I think as we start the process, we'll start to learn what it takes to make these paper planes. So learning outcomes are what we hope this session will achieve. It may achieve all of them for all of you, it may only achieve one or two of them for some of you, it may not achieve them at all for others, but that would be my learning outcome to come from this session about my teaching and how we've constructed the lesson. Does that make sense? So the first one I've put there is understanding how to make a paper plane, and that's by demonstrating things like understanding paper planes.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
So you're all done. So you're happy with your paper planes?
Yeah.
You think they will fly?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. Now before we physically do this, I'd like one of you just to do me a favour, because I'm just videoing the session, as you know. Would somebody just take a minute to look at the camera to check that it's set and it is on video, because I'm going to record you just flying your planes, just so as we get it. So it is on video and it is recording. Yeah? So I will move the video around to show you all very briefly just throwing your planes so that they can see that we've achieved one of our goals at least. So one at a time, if Natalie would start. I know we've got no Nisha at the minute, she's stepped out. So I'm just going to move the camera around so as we can see you, Natalie, if that's okay. So just hold on. Whoop. It's a bit juddery. Okay. So hopefully now, if you would like to give it a go. Oh, wow. That wasn't bad.
It's not
I have to say, that's pretty good. Okay, Sam, would you like to have a go?
Right.
That looks expert.
Oh.
Yeah. That's really well
Did it
done.
go back to me?
That's really well done.
It was going to land back.
Back on
You.
the table.
Lily, would you like to have a go?
Let's see.
And I'll go last to show you my effort, which will do what it's going to do. Oh,
Yeah, that was
good.
good.
I would say it's about a draw, actually, so far. So this will be interesting. So wish me well. We'll see what happens. No! Obviously, the way I was taught as a child lacked something. So thank you very much for doing it. I'm just going to turn the video camera back so that we can go through the rest of the session, which will now focus on the outcomes of today's session. So when we look at the kind of skills that we've used to make the paper planes, hopefully you've been thinking during the process of what kind of skills you've used. So if you think about it, if we think about the physical side of things first, what kind of physical skills have you used to make your paper planes?
Hand-eye coordination.
So coordination,
And that dexterity.
Yeah.
coordination and dexterity, yeah. Dexterity where?
Fingers. Hands.
So you think about digits.
And also when you stand up to fly as well.
Mobility, yeah. Okay. What other kinds of skills? Doesn't have to be physical. What other kinds of skills have you had to do to be able to do it?
You have to concentrate, to follow the instructions.
So concentration, follow instructions.
It's kind
If
of
you
like
followed the instructions, what else do you have to do for those to make sense?
Be able to read them.
So if you've read them and you actually,
understand, interpret.
yeah, yeah. And during part of the lesson, there was a lot of chatter going on.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of other skills were you using there, do you think?
Teamwork.
Communication.
Communication and teamwork. And I think that is kind of a bit of everything in there. Any other physical skills that you think you might have had to use?
Physical.
So you've used a lot of physical skills there, but the other thing that we tend to forget about is using our brain. You're using your brain in a way to make this all happen in the first place. And that's a physical skill, but it's also non-physical, isn't it? So if we look at these skills and we look at the learning outcomes that we started off first thing in the lesson this morning, so to understand how to make a paper plane, that was our first learning outcome. By demonstrating understanding and interpretation of instructions, do we all feel that we met that criteria?
Yeah.
So we can tick that one off. And I think you did really well with that actually. It was a lot of fun. Thoroughly enjoyed doing that. The second learning outcome was to gain insight and understanding of varied skills needed to perform the task successfully. And I think we've met that one as well.